Hello, everyone. I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to this week's session of Tech Tips Live. This is going to be our sixth session, the weekly series where we'll get together and share information about technology here at K-State. This series is going to be every Wednesday at 3 p.m., so make sure you stay tuned and tune in each week to keep on top of technology here at K-State. A few housekeeping items. I will have everyone's microphone muted, so if there are any questions that come up, please feel free to unmute your microphones, or I will be monitoring the group chat, so you can send questions in over that. Going back to the screen share, I am showing the Tech Tips website right now. Oh, actually, this is the intro slide. Sorry, let me switch over. The Tech Tips Live website is right here. If you've missed any of our past sessions, you can find the recordings here. If there are any sessions that you would like to request, any topics that you would like to request, you can send those to me at any time or any of the other members of ITAC and let us know about a topic that you would like to hear about. Other than that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to this week's presenter, Lisa Crawford-Craft from Salina, who's going to talk to us today about OneDrive. So Lisa, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you. So today we're going to take these 15 minutes to talk about OneDrive. And OneDrive is it's a cloud storage solution that allows you to share files between devices. So you can have it on your computer, your tablet, your phone, any device that you have internet access, really, you could utilize it. And K-State has given all of us, faculty, students, staff, 1 terabyte of space. So that's a lot of space and could be a very useful tool. So today we're going to look at how you can utilize it. And if you have any questions, just let me know. So let me share my screen here. Share my whole desktop with you. Okay, so going to OneDrive, you're going to want to log into your webmail. That's where I am right now. And when you're in your webmail, you'll see that you have these little dots right here. And when you click that, you have a lot of different options of places you can go, a lot of tools that K-State has purchased for us. And we're going to look today at OneDrive. Okay, so here's OneDrive. You can see that I've started using it. So you can see everything that I have stored here. You can do files or folders. You can also do any Word documents. You can do PDFs. You can do photos. You can do videos. And in fact, videos, most of them, if they're uploaded into OneDrive, will actually play in OneDrive as well. And sometimes that can be helpful. You can tell when it's a folder based on the little on the icon here. You can see it looks like a folder tab, like if you were in a filing cabinet. So it gives you that look. And then you have your regular files down here. So then I want to look at here at the left-hand navigation. I'm on files, so clearly that lets me see everything I have in OneDrive. I can go to recent, which shows me everything I've recently worked on. It brings out the individual files, not the folders. So that's why there's so many there. If you want to look at just the information shared with you, because again, we can share files and folders in OneDrive, which I'll show you how to do, I can click that and I'll only see the information that's been shared with me by others, which can be helpful if your OneDrive gets kind of big. There's also Recycle Bin. So if you delete anything out of Recycle Bin, if you delete anything out of OneDrive, it goes to the Recycle Bin. So if you make a mistake and accidentally recycle it, you can bring it back in by restoring the selection. But even if you delete it, which I'm going to do with all of this, there's still a second stage Recycle Bin. So you get yet another chance if you accidentally deleted something you didn't want to restore that file. That's super helpful because I know I've deleted things that I needed and regretted it. So loving that extra backup there. Another thing in the left-hand navigation here is groups. So if you have a committee or maybe a student group project, you can create OneDrive spaces for specific groups. And in that you can share files, have conversations, or even have a group calendar. So we're going to just do an overview of that because we're not really looking at groups today, we're looking at OneDrive, but I did want to show you how. So you can see I'm in some groups already, but if I wanted to create my own group, I would click this plus sign. It's going to take me back to my email. And what I can do is I create my group. And so I'm going to just name it my last name. tells me if it's available or not. I can add a description. I'm just doing this for training, so I'm not going to get very fancy with it. But I can also decide if I want it to be public or if I want it to be private. So if I want it to be just a specific group of K-State people, I can click private, and then I can choose whoever I want to see the content. When I'm done, I click create. I'm not going to add people right now because, again, I'm not utilizing it. But if I did, I would just enter their name or email address, and they would add them into the group, and they would get notification that they've been added to the group. So here's the group all set up. You can see that you can start a conversation, you can view group files, you can use a calendar, a lot of different things that you can do and just that group can utilize. So this can be really helpful if you have committees and things like that you need to organize and have conversations about. If you create a group and you need to add members, you can see it says members up here, 1 member, I'm the only one, I created it. I can click that. You can see that I can add members. I can always add and take out members as I need to of my group. It's never a one-time decision. So that's just an overview of groups and how they work within OneDrive. So I'm going to go back to the main OneDrive page. And now we're going to focus on the top navigation. I'm going to go a little backwards though. I prefer this tile view. That works for me, but it might not work for you. And if you come up here into this right corner, if you click this icon, it'll give it to you in a list view. So whichever view works best for you, you can toggle back and forth. I just happen to prefer this one. Sorry about that. And you can also sort them. So you can choose how you want them to be organized as well, based on name, modified date, whatever works best for you and your organization. The sync button is if you are using on those different devices. Remember I said you could use it on your iPhone, your tablet, whatever. If you need to sync because you've been working on your iPad and you're not seeing it here on your desktop, if you click sync, it'll sync all your devices and sync your OneDrive so that it'll make it push through those documents that maybe you worked on a different device. Upload is upload. You can upload entire folders so you don't have to choose one file like some systems make you do, or you can just choose a file. But you don't always have to choose this upload. You can drag and drop as well. So if I have files that I want to bring in here, I can just grab it. This is my files or my documents if you're a Windows user. I can just grab it and drag it. And you can see right here, maybe you can't, but, and it added it. So it's as easy as dragging and dropping as well if you want to bring files into OneDrive, which is very, very helpful. Okay, and the next on there is new. So this is where you can create a new folder to organize your information, or you can create a new document. Within OneDrive, you can also open Word, Excel, PowerPoint documents. We're not going to get too into that today because we're just focusing on OneDrive. But you can create documents and work with them in OneDrive online and then work on them on any device that you have OneDrive, which can be very helpful if you're working in different locations. So as I look at my different types down here, folders and individual files, I have different options. You can see when I hover that a little circle comes up. So when I hover and I click that, I get some different options on my top navigation. I can open that folder so I can see all the files in it. I can share it. This one in particular I've already shared with some people, but I could add more. And here I can also decide if they can edit it or if they can just view it. So you can just send things for people to just view, or they can help you and edit it as well. And then you can decide if you want to share everything in the folder, send an email invitation, some different options. But also keep in mind that even after you share with people, you can take that sharing away. So you can always go in and delete people if necessary. The other thing you can do is get a link. Really, when I click it, you can see we're on the exact same screen that we were just on with share. So what you can do is get a link and send it to those people that you shared it with if for some reason they lost the original email or for any other reason. So those are some different options of which you can share that folder. You can delete it. You can copy it, meaning it would stay in this location and copy it to a new location within OneDrive, or you can choose move to, which means it takes it from that original location and moves it to the new one. So there's not two copies. That's the difference between copy to and move to. You can also rename the folder here as well if you decide that you need to do that. So that's folders. Now files have a little different option. So when I click it, you can see that the top navigation is pretty much the same, with the only difference being the open. And so when I open it, I can open it in Word Online, so I can work on it here within the system, or I can open it in Word on my desktop. I've seen a lot of chats, and I'm getting a lot of questions, and I'm ignoring them.
Lisa, one question that did come in. Can you share the folder with colleagues without ksu.edu domains?
I don't believe you can. If someone knows differently, then let me know. But my understanding is that they have to have a K-State EID, because I've tried outside and it hasn't sent it to them. There's a different answer, but my understanding is they have to have a K-State EID. Okay, so yeah, it has to be within K-State. Okay, thank you. I think I am full screen. Let me see.
Lisa,
what
yours
parts can you not see?
Seems to be coming through. I think it might be a problem with individual user screen.
Okay.
I'm talking through things privately in the chat. So
Awesome, thanks.
I'll bring up any questions that you need to address.
Cool, thank you. Okay, so you can open the file here online, and you can work online, or you can open it in Word on your computer. And what's really great about that is, let's open the one that I want to open here. If I open it in Word here, hopefully you can see that my Word will open and it'll download that file. And it tells me it's a server document. It's read-only at this point, but I can click Edit to edit that file. And so maybe I've decided, okay, in this paper I want my full name. So I'm gonna add on my hyphenation, because I go both ways. It just depends on the day. And what's great is the disk up here for save has that little sync icon that we saw back in OneDrive to sync up your documents. So when I save it this way, let it save here, and I close it, and I go back to it in OneDrive, you can see it saved my update. So even though I'm working on my desktop, it'll sync between OneDrive so that later if you're at a different computer or device, you can see that updated document. So that's a great thing as well, that you can bring it down, work on it locally, and it'll automatically sync it up for you. And it will do that with any of the Word documents, so it's very helpful. You can also see once you're in your document, again, you can edit it, print it. You can share individual documents, not just folders, so be aware of that as well. And also, if you're working on documents with individuals, you can do comments, just like in Google Docs, where you can comment, and you can do that within your groups. And you can work on a document together if you're doing a group project or a group proposal. So OneDrive can be very useful for those types of projects as well. So we've talked about sharing, we've created folders, we've hovered. The next thing that is important to know is that there are OneDrive apps. And if you're in OneDrive and you come down here to the bottom left, you can see Get the OneDrive apps. And when you click that, it'll take you to where you can download those. Now it knows I'm on a Mac, so it automatically picked the Mac OS, but wherever you might be, it would pick that, or you can always choose differently as well. I'd be happy to show that, except that I'm having issues with my Mac working with it, and because of the fact that you can drag and drop and it automatically updates documents for me, I really haven't had a need to troubleshoot it. It's been working well without it. But if it is something you need, and you would need it if you were doing it on your phone or your tablet, you can download that app and you can access your files wherever you are and work on the different documents in different locations, which is the greatest thing about OneDrive. And the fact that we have 1 terabyte, it'd be very hard to run out of space with 1 terabyte. So that's very helpful. And that's my overview of OneDrive. I wanted to leave time for questions and anything you might want me to go back over if I glossed over it too quickly.
Okay, so at this time, if anyone has any questions that they'd like to either type in the chat, or please feel free to open your microphone. Bottom left-hand corner of your screen, you can unmute your microphone and then go ahead and ask your question. Okay, Lisa, one just came in. What is the best way to work on files through a web page or app?
You know, it really depends. You do have more functionality. If, you know, when I opened it and I downloaded it into Word on my desktop, I have more functionality that way as far as formatting goes. But if you're just generally typing and doing some general formatting on a document, there's not a lot of difference between the online and the desktop version. And an app, you're only limited, it's the same options, you're just limited by, you know, how well you work on a tablet. Can you type well? Can you format well? Those types of things.
Can you give some examples of how K-State Polytech faculty are using OneDrive with classes?
We have, it's not being used a lot for classes. We're using it more for like if we have committees and things like that. I do have one faculty and he just started, so I don't have a lot of it, you know, we haven't assessed yet for a group project. So he's used a group and they're using that to do things. And we know Canvas does it as well. For some reason, he's not loving that functionality. And so he's trying this to see if it works more for what he wants to do. And once I know more about that, I'm happy to share. He just started trying it.
It's nice that we have so many options here at K-State that, you know, everyone can try a little bit of everything.
Right. If you don't like one, try the other thing that we offer. Mm-hmm.
Is there any restriction with the size of files?
I haven't found one yet. I put on an 1.5-hour video the other day and it went up with no problem. That's a pretty big file. So I have not found one yet. And I put a giant video file on and it had no problems. And with it being 1 terabyte of space, I think that's just your limitation on space. I don't think there's a file limitation.
We had someone comment saying they are having a problem with the sync option of OneDrive. When he clicks sync, it shows syncing files, one or more remaining, even after several days in the app.
That happened to me once, and I can't recreate it right here, but it allowed me to, there was a place that I could click. And what it showed me was it wasn't uploading it because I already had the file in there. It wouldn't let me upload a duplicate file. So that's my first initial thought on that, to make sure it's not a duplicate file. And if that's not the answer, then I'd maybe ask the IT help desk or whoever helps over in Manhattan with these things.
Lisa, you might have said this and I didn't hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Are there times when we wouldn't use OneDrive to put up a document?
Yeah, there's some debate on this security level of OneDrive. So I always check with my IT people, honestly, before I use it for anything, because they know the policies on what we should and shouldn't use. Obviously, don't put grades and things like that in OneDrive. It's more for we're using it for committees and things like that. We obviously wouldn't do it. We can't do search committees now anyway because we have Page Up, but we wouldn't have done search committees in this because that could be sensitive information. So that is things to think about when you're using OneDrive.
Okay, a question came in about, I believe it has to do with when you create a document on your computer, can you automatically sync it to OneDrive?
That's a good question. We got time, let's see. My guess is that if it's created, and I'm not seeing the sync, if it's created natively on your machine, that you would have to save it and then drag it up. You know how I went to files and I dragged it over. I think you would have to do that if you didn't natively create it within OneDrive, since I don't see that sync option.
Okay, another one came in. Do you suggest to use OneDrive instead of the computer hard drive for daily file storage? And how safe is OneDrive comparing with a local hard drive?
I personally, if it's important, I do both. so that I have it both places. I know we just got OneDrive, so I can't speak to how so far it's been great. We've had any problems, and other people I've talked to haven't had issues. But if it's really important, I keep a backup on my machine just in case. I do both.
Okay, are there any other questions for Lisa? Okay, well, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I want to thank Lisa for joining us today and sharing all her knowledge about OneDrive. Like always, this session has been recorded, and we will post it on our Tech Tips Live website. Let me get it up here real quick. So you should be able to find it under here. Last week's has already been posted if you missed the one on Scantron. So you can always go back here to look for those recordings. I hope everyone is able to join us next week. Our Tech Tips topic will be a primer on Qualtrics. So I hope everyone is able to join us for that. So there should be lots of good information on Qualtrics. I think that's all we have. So thank you everyone very much for joining us, and have a good day.